Everybody always talks about the beginning of an RV purchase, finding the right unit and making sure you get a good deal on it and making sure your vehicle can tow it and all of the above. Today, we're going to talk about what happens after that truthfully can be even a little bit more important. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. We're Will and Jen, and today it's just Will. Jen is working on a couple things, so quick little update. We've been back home for about a week now after the Charleston grand opening. Every time that we're home, it's always crazy hecticness because we're trying to, work on stuff around the house and just get caught up with life and everything. But of course, it's never just me because Tucker is a clinger. So he's got to say hi to everybody. Hopefully you can see him. And we're going to be talking about what happens basically after you pick the perfect RV, get the best deal, and truthfully how to kind of help you get the best deal as well. We're going to be talking about RV financing, extended warranties, gap insurance, all that stuff today. Truthfully, there are so many people who will tell you, this is what you got to do to save money on buying your RV and do this and do that. But truthfully, financing can have a much, much larger impact on you and your overall, purchase than getting that extra little bit of money off of the sale price. A little bit of background and disclaimer, just so everybody's aware, because there were a couple comments before that we are partnered with RV retailers. We don't make any money based on if you finance, if you don't finance. Our pay structure with them is pretty simple, and it has nothing to do with finance. I do have a little bit of background in finance, I guess you could say. I used to do mortgages when I did more real estate, but mortgages, and I'll talk about this, are a little bit different from RV loans. So I have some of the idea more because I understand the terms and the lingo and stuff, but by no means am I like an RV financing expert. So truthfully, like I said earlier, the financing side of your RV purchase can have a much bigger impact than, that extra little bit of sale price that you could negotiate off. The finance has so much money built into it and it seems small, but it kind of snowballs when you really look at it. I'm gonna talk about a couple of numbers and examples. All the payments and everything I got, they're all examples. I just wanna be kind of clear that it's based off of you negotiating a decent deal, like an average deal. Is there more that you can negotiate off in some circumstances? Of course, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, how maybe twisting your negotiations a little bit could help. But overall, it's gonna be assuming you negotiated a good deal overall. So I wanna give a quick example of the impact that different interest rates can give. So to start off, I'm using similar numbers. Say you negotiate the same deal, and now we're just talking about financing. So if your finance amount is $100,000 and you finance that over 20 years, if you had a 6.99% interest rate, your payment's gonna roughly be around $775. The total interest paid throughout the entire life of the loan, if you kept it through the full 20 years, would be $86,000. So that's a lot of money that's getting paid to interest. So for comparison, if you, shopped at a different dealership or whatever and got a higher interest rate at 7.99, your payment's gonna be about $835 a month, and you're gonna pay roughly $100,000 in interest if you kept it for the life of the loan. So as you can see, that's a difference of about $60 a month, or another way to look at it is almost $15,000 throughout the life of the loan. So again, that's huge differences, and a lot of times, when customers are talking through finance and everything, they don't pay as much of attention if they get a 6.99 versus 7.99 or a 5.99. It's just like, oh, that's what we got, and they just kind of accept that, even though, again, it can have a bigger impact, and it's important to shop that some as well. Truthfully, if you're negotiating a little bit, something that, especially when I was doing more sales or when I help at shows and stuff, if those numbers start to get really, really tight, what I'll offer to customers is hey guys, I'm all in with this. There's nothing else I can do, the manager can do, anybody can do. But what we can do is we can talk to the finance manager. We will get with them to make sure they're shopping all the banks, make sure that they're getting the best interest rate they can, calling in whatever favors they can. And again, that can really be that icing on the cake to make sure that you are getting just the overall package is the best deal possible. Truthfully, if it comes down to it, let's say you've negotiated a pretty good deal, you feel like you can squeeze a little bit more out of them, maybe call it $500. You're gonna be better almost to hold that and ask for those finance discounts and really work them hard. Now, it is hard because it is partially what the bank comes back with. But that's gonna get it in the finance manager's head that, hey, this deal is only gonna go through if I make sure to take care of this customer and get them a really good rate. Because if I come back and it's a high rate, they're gonna say no, because in their head, they're kind of getting their expectations a little bit lower. So they're gonna do everything they can to shop the banks, to, you know, cut the rates, call in favors, whatever they have to really, really get that good rate. So again, you know, if you're between, hey, $500 off is what you're thinking in your head to ask for, or asking for finance discounts, hey, please, you know, shop it around, get us the best rate you can with the finance manager. That's really gonna be your better rate, because again, $60 in less than a year, you're gonna make up that $500 difference.
Real quick, I wanted to take a second to tell you guys some exciting news. So a couple weeks ago, we hit a big mile mark on our channel. We actually hit 10,000 subscribers. So first of all, thank you guys so much for just being with us on this journey and getting to this point. It's been a lot of work to get here, and I'm just excited for what's next. So to celebrate this big occasion, we are throwing a huge live subscriber party this coming Monday, May 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So we really hope that a lot of you guys can join us for that. It's gonna be a ton of fun. We're answering questions on that video. We're gonna be doing a ton of giveaways. So we have stuff from Lippert, we have backup cameras, the Furrion backup cameras. We have a MyWaggle pet temperature monitor. We have a lot of giveaways that we're doing. We're also just gonna be sharing kind of like our plans for the rest of the year, chatting with you guys, and kind of showing like the journey to get to 10,000. So I really hope that you guys can join us for that. It's gonna be really, really exciting. That is Monday, May 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We will have like the live video, like where you can like set a reminder going up soon, so be on the lookout for that. But I just want to put that out there. One other announcement, if you guys haven't heard on Mass RV Reviews channels, we are doing our first ever Mass RV Reviews rally this in like a couple weeks. It's May 17th through 20th. It's at the Four Corners RV Resort in Nashville, which looks like, I haven't been there yet, but I've seen pictures and it looks like it's gonna be super fun. It's right on a little lake. We're planning on renting a boat, and we're gonna have food and entertainment, karaoke, lots of fun. Will and I, and Matt and Andrea will be there. So we only have a few spots left. We actually had a couple like cancellations, so we just had a couple spots open up. So this is like your last chance if you guys are interested in coming to that. Again, it's May 17th through 20th. I'll put Will's email down below so you can just contact him directly to get your spot. So that will probably be going soon, so make sure you reach out ASAP if you're interested in that. All right guys, that's all from me. Back to Will.
Okay, another point that I want to talk about are credit unions overall, and I'll lead into local banks and stuff like that as well. Credit unions and local banks kind of go together, and then there's bigger banks. So with credit unions, they're really hit or miss. Truthfully, most of the time, the credit unions aren't going to give you the best rate. Well, they'll give you a really good rate, I shouldn't say that. They won't give you the best overall finance package. What I see, like, there's a local credit union here in Maryland, and I had customers that went to them before, and they were like, hey, if you do a 3-year loan, we'll give you a really good rate, like 2.99%. And they're like, well, no, we want, you know, a 10-year loan. This is a $100,000 motorhome. You know, we need to spread it out a little bit more. They're like, either, hey, we don't do 10-year loans, or if they do, you know, yeah, we'll do that, but it's gonna be, you know, 9.99 or 12.99. If you just need a small loan for a short period of time, credit union might be the best way to go, or it's at least worth shopping. Same thing with local banks, but a lot of times they don't want to be sitting on that money for too long, I guess is what it is. You know, they're kind of looking for that quick return is what they're showing with their loan offerings. Again, I'll never tell you not to shop, you know, a certain bank or credit union or anything. It's always worth a try. But, you know, a lot of times that's not really the place to go. And same thing with local banks. Local banks sometimes have a little bit more flexibility, so it's definitely a little more worth it. From what I've seen being on the sales side, is it really is the larger banks that are holding these RV loans. So we've had 2 RVs. M&T Bank is a decent sized bank, and Bank of America obviously is a really big bank. They usually come in and we'll work with the dealerships to do longer loans, decent rates, you know, overall kind of a favorable package. Leading into that, I want to talk about dealer financing versus shopping on your own. And again, it's always worthwhile shopping. And the reason that I say that so much is because everybody's credit and income and asset situation is totally different. Nobody's is the same as mine, nobody's is the same as yours. So what one bank denies, you know, one bank will deny me, will approve you, vice versa, or, you know, more favorable rates one way or the other. So again, it's definitely worth shopping, but overall, I usually see the dealerships providing better rates than if you go out on your own. And I know, there's definitely gonna be people commenting like, oh, I got a better rate when I went out on my own. You're 100% right, and that is definitely possible. I'm just saying, we've seen hundreds of RVs get bought and financed and everything, and for the most part, most customers come back and say, hey, it really wasn't worth it to shop the bank because what the RV dealership provided was better. And I think the reason for that is, truthfully, you're buying one RV, you're asking the bank for one loan, where if I'm the finance manager, I have, 5, 10, 15, 20 different banks I'm working with. They know that there's gonna be different banks that I can shop to very easily. There's other banks that I have great relationships with, but they wanna be my go-to. They want me to send as much of their business. A large dealership's even a small dealership's gonna close, 50 transactions a month that are financed minimum. Large dealerships are gonna be a lot more. That's a lot of business every month for those banks. So they're definitely gonna give discounts and incentives and all that to the dealerships. I've even been at shows where the banks come to the shows because they wanna make sure that they are there to help get the best rate, to call whoever they need to cut the rate, to get the loan so that it doesn't go to a different bank. And I want to lead into the next topic with that, and that is a large dealership versus a small dealership. So we partnered with both or worked at both. Truthfully, a larger dealership can usually get a little bit of a better rate because they're sending so much business. They're going to send 1,000 deals a month, where a small dealership's going to send 40 or 50 deals a month. With that said, some small dealerships have, relationships with the local banks that do like to lend in RV loans, and they can get a better rate. So definitely don't not shop at a smaller dealership because of that. But a lot of times, if you're comparing apples to apples with the RV, ask them both what they can offer for financing, because you might find that the larger dealership can offer a better finance rate, or truthfully, it might be the other way around. Now, you may have heard dealerships, this is very, very important when you're on the negotiating side of the actual sale price of the unit. You may hear dealerships say, hey, this is a finance price or finance discount, whatever they want to call it. That is not a fake discount. Trust me, in the RV industry, people will come up with the craziest discount, and in the auto industry. Oh, it's the Monday discount, it's this discount, that discount, the New Year's discount. Typically, the dealerships are gonna pay roughly the same for the units themselves. When they pull out these discounts, it's just to create a sense of urgency that, hey, you really need to do this today because, it's the New Year's sale, it's the Easter sale, whatever it is. But a finance discount really truly is a discount because the banks will give the dealership kickbacks for sending business their way. So basically they'll say, hey, if you get the customer to finance and they finance through you and you send that loan to us, we'll cut you a check for X amount back. Truthfully, again, I never worked on the finance end of an RV dealership, so I don't know how much that is. I do know that sometimes when you say you are willing to finance, you'll finance with the dealership or at least give them the opportunity, that they will cut that price down, usually a decent amount. And that truly is a win-win for both parties because you're already gonna have to finance anyways. The dealership's gonna probably get you a better rate, and then you're giving more money to the dealership in a sense, but then they're able to take some of that money and give it back to you on the sale price. So again, it really is kind of a win-win. It's, rather than trying to just cut the price down and the dealership's saying no because they're not making money, it's kind of using like somebody else's money a little bit. And again, you're gonna have to finance anyway, so it truthfully makes sense to do that. And a lot of times, like I'll give when we're working shows and stuff, I'll give a finance price. I'll just explain to customers, even if they're paying cash, like, hey, this is a deal if you finance. Nothing wrong with paying cash, but we're taking that extra money that we were gonna get from the bank and applying it to this because it's a show, they wanna move units, blah, 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 whatever it is. So definitely use that to your advantage. And again, even if you plan to pay cash, hey, put your 20, 30, 40% down and finance the remaining balance. And typically they'll want you to keep it for 6 months or 9 months, whatever they tell you. Verify that there's no prepayment penalties and just pay it off at the end. You can even make large payments during that 6 months if you want, just so you're not paying a whole bunch in interest. But it's definitely worth it to finance to get those extra discounts and everything on the actual sale price of the unit. All right, so there's two last things that I want to talk about to finish up this video. And these are probably going to be a little bit quicker and hopefully a little bit easier to wrap your head around, because I know the finance stuff can get a little bit tricky. So with that said, if there's finance questions you do have, I will definitely try to help out the best I can or find the answers for you. Make sure to send me an email and we'll put my email in the description below. The next two things are options, not, exactly finance related, but they're always talked about in the finance office. And there's more than just these two, but I want to just touch on these two to start with. So the first is gap insurance. Gap insurance is pretty simple. So everybody knows that when you buy a car or an RV, you drive it off the lot, you're going to lose money, right? So let's say you buy it for $100,000, and as soon as you drive it off the lot, just for example, you lose 20%. So now that RV is worth $80,000. Let's say you took a loan out for $90,000, okay? So you owe now on it $10,000 more than it's worth. What happens is if you got into an accident on day one, again, these are just examples, the insurance company is going to come out and say, okay, we'll give you $80,000 for it, that's what it's worth. You're going to say, well, crap, I owe 90 on it, and you're going to try to negotiate with them and try to get as much back from them as you can. Inevitably, there likely be a small delta, small or maybe large. And that's what gap insurance is there to cover. So in case of a total loss, they will cover that difference. Usually gap insurance isn't too bad. I think it's more on motorhomes, more expensive on motorhomes, just because, the gap percentage could equal to a larger dollar amount. I think when we bought our fifth wheel, it was like $800, maybe $899, maybe more, maybe less. We opted not to do it with the truck because we put enough down, but I think it was like $999 there. So right around there, a motorhome's probably $1,500, roughly. Gap insurance is fairly cheap, and it is really kind of a good peace of mind. You never know when you're going to be in an accident, just to know that difference is covered with gap insurance. Now here's the thing, everybody gets gap insurance, like in a car for 6 years or whatever it is. Truthfully, you probably don't need it for the whole term of the loan, because eventually it's going to get to a point where, hey, we paid the RV down to $50,000 and it's worth $70,000. So there's actually money that would be owed to you in the event of a total loss. So in cases like that, maybe you hit that after 3 or 4 years because you've been making extra payments and your gap insurance is for 10 years, you can get the difference prorated, refunded to you. So even if you have a small gap, it can be worth it because really you're just kind of paying like the per day rate and then getting it refunded if you wanted. It's definitely worth it. Again, we didn't do it with the truck because, the way truck prices were going up in value, we put money down. I felt like we got a good deal. So, we decided not to do it with the truck. I think RVs are a little more volatile, especially fifth wheels, just because the demand tends to be a little bit lower on them. So I was just worried, hey, what happens in a couple years if the market goes down, the RV loses value. But again, it was a peace of mind. We bought it today knowing that we could, in 3 years or 5 years or however long, get a prorated refund based on the situation at that time if we felt necessary. Okay, the next one is a little bit bigger of a purchase, I would say, and that is extended warranties. So extended warranties are really, really hard for me to answer clear yes or no. Gap insurance, usually I say yes. Extended warranties, it's really hard for me to give a blanket statement for the majority because it's just very personal, and it also depends on the dealership and what price the extended warranty is and how much coverage they're doing. We did decide to purchase an extended warranty as well with ours. And, you guys probably know we bought it through RV1 of Tampa. I went in probably not planning to buy an extended warranty, but I was expecting it when we bought from a smaller local dealership. The cost of the extended warranty was like twice as much. And Jen was working there at the time, so they gave us a discount. So it wasn't quite twice as much, but retail would have been. At RV1, I actually don't think that we got a discount. We didn't ask anybody for it. So I think he gave us a normal retail price, but it was much less than I was expecting. And I personally said, truthfully, extended warranties are obviously there because they're going to make money. The warranty company's going to make money. But at that price, I figured there's usually always some repairs, so we will get some value out of it. But more importantly, at that price, it was just giving us some really good peace of mind, I felt. It was just really nice knowing that, hey, if there's a major failure with the slide or with an AC unit or even the chassis, I think is covered, then we would have coverage for that and we wouldn't be totally out of pocket. Typically, there's a couple questions that I would ask you to ask yourself to help make a better decision. First, it's really not a question, just a statement that it's totally a personal financial decision. It comes down to your personal finances. But the first real question is, would it hurt you financially to have a decent size repair that's needed? You know, if you needed a new AC unit, can you just swipe your card for $1,000, or, you know, if you need something else on $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, whatever it is. If that's no problem for you, that is definitely one check mark for not getting one. Something else, and Matt always talks about this, is your income consistent? So now, again, we're not in sales anymore, but when we used to do sales and we lived in Maryland, Maryland was cold during the winter, and RV sales in, you know, really November, December, January, it wasn't until the RV show in February, things were really slow. If things hit hard in January, February, there was, you know, a big repair that needed to be made, that would be a pretty big financial difficulty at that time for the situation that we were in. Again, that's kind of the time when you're starting to spend some of your savings just to pay rent and put food on the table, whatever it is. To take a big chunk out would really hurt. Where in April, May, June, July, when sales are really coming in, you're making decent money, you're starting to save, you can absorb that a little bit. But truthfully, like Matt always says, and I agree with him, that, you know, we would buy extended warranties on a car or an RV or whatever it is for those low months, because it's just inevitable that something's going to happen when times are tough, right? And it's definitely another good question for you. You know, are you commission based like we were? Do you own your own business? Or are you straight salary? You know, you have a really good stable job you feel comfortable with, where, you know, you're not really having to tap into savings just to make ends meet some months. And the last thing is just that peace of mind. You know, again, everything else could be perfect, but if it's personally for you, you know, you hate having to deal with those big expenses and it just kind of makes you nervous or scares you, and that's gonna make RVing not as fun because you're always worried about the repairs. And then truthfully, at that point, you're paying for the peace of mind. So again, those are kind of the three big questions that I would encourage you to ask yourself when making that decision. There's no clear answer. The one thing that I will say is most of the time, and always double check this, but most of the time, just like the gap insurance, an extended warranty is prorated refund. So it's like, hey, if you're worried, especially if you're buying used, that's something else I should have said. If you're buying used, I almost always recommend an extended warranty, just because you never know what you're getting into. Even if you have the money, somebody could have traded in a lemon, and it's like you don't want to be battling those costs while trying to figure out what to do with this unit. But if you're looking at a new unit, you know, you're kind of like, hey, you know, let's see how things go. Great, get the warranty, you know, do it for the full length that they offer, because that's going to be the cheapest per year. If a year into it, 2 years into it, you're like, man, this thing's great, there's hardly any issues, I'm willing to take the risk. Again, same thing, most of the time you can go and get a prorated refund to get a good chunk of your money back. So you got that peace of mind for the first year. Again, with our RV, we bought it. With the truck, we did buy an extended warranty for that reason. We bought used. The truck extended warranty was actually a lot more than the RV extended warranty. We just felt like, hey, we don't know what somebody traded in. I personally bought a car that was a lemon before. My only saving grace was that I had an extended warranty on it because it was used as well, so there was no factory warranty. And that got me through to get the repairs done to, you know, when I would try to trade it in, if there's a bunch of things wrong with it, they're not going to give you any value. So I took it in, got all those things fixed under the extended warranty, and then got rid of the car that way once things were fixed up. You know, we were kind of thinking the same thing with the truck, that, hey, if we own it for a year, things look great, we put 10, 20,000 miles on it, it's towing the fifth wheel great, then great, we can always get it refunded. But it was that peace of mind that, hey, if something happens, you know, and there's a lot of costly repairs, then great, we have this extended warranty to help cover us. All right, guys, so that pretty much wraps up this video. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I know this stuff can be so complicated. If this was confusing to you, you need to learn more, you want to learn more, you have more questions, feel free to, again, send me an email. We'll put my email address in the description below. And we can even jump on a call at some point. I can help navigate you through it when the time comes to purchase. But overall, you know, just kind of be flexible, make sure you're looking things over, shopping and all that, to make sure that you're getting the best overall package with buying an RV. And again, I've said this before, so many people look at just the sale price of a unit truthfully, you got to look at the whole package. What can they offer with financing? What can they offer with extended warranties if that's important to you? You know, what's the service center like? What's the salesperson like? Do you feel like they're there to help you, or are they just there to make a sale? So truthfully, it might be worth paying a little bit more, just like in that example I used, to get a better finance rate, work with a dealership who has better service, and a salesperson who's really there to help guide you along the way. It might help you with headaches and at the same time save you money in the long run in ways that you didn't think about it. So again, with an RV purchase, it's truly about the whole picture, not just the sale price of the unit that you're looking at. Like Jen said earlier, guys, don't forget that the Matt's RV Reviews Rally is coming up. We got a couple sites left. Make sure to email us if you're interested. If you guys liked videos like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We do videos like this every Wednesday, typically, and we're also gonna try to get into a little bit more of like RV upgrades and things that hopefully you can do on your RV as well. And then on Sundays, we do travel style vlogs. We got a lot of good stuff coming up, and if you missed it, make sure to check out our last Sunday's video. Jen, Katya, and I, we just got back from an awesome vacation a couple weeks ago in the Bahamas. So last week's video, we took a whole ATV tour of Nassau. We got to swim with the pigs, and truthfully, it's just a funny vlog. All 3 Bahama videos are awesome, but we'll link the latest one up there. And we hope to see you guys again soon. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.